Hello. My name is Everything Explained, and today we're going to be taking a look at American Horror Story Double Feature, Episode 9. And this is the ninth episode in this double feature installment. As I just said, it's titled Blue Moon. So let's go and take a look at this. Um, it starts off, we basically have Meme Eisenhower, who has been taken over by the aliens, and she is trying to persuade Ike into signing the treaty for the 5,000 abductions a year in exchange for developments and all kind of military and all sorts of just human technology overall. Reluctantly, Ike does agree to sign the treaty after Maymay's life has been threatened. So remorsefully, we see him do that. He is morally having all kind of conflict, but when his wife's life was in danger, essentially he did sign the agreement. We get a shot. The time frame on this is all weird, so I'm not gonna try to specify when things exactly happen, but I will say if it's in the future or past at least. But so this was, I believe it was 3 years forward, but we do get a look at Ike, Nixon, and another gentleman in a room, and they are reviewing footage that military surveillance had captured on abductions. And we see this bright light starting to flood the room. So actually, I'm wrong. This might not be 3 years later, but this was right, I know, after Ike signed the agreement, the treaty. And this is when we are introduced to Valiant Thor, and he basically explains that he is a liaison for the aliens, and we also find out that he's some sort of a cyborg. These aliens are very technological, and that I guess, like I said, we see this right here. He's not probably the main extraterrestrial in charge, but we do see right here that he seems to have some prominent role in all of this. So after showing that he was a cyborg and basically going over the agreement that President Eisenhower recently had signed, he brings new technology. This looked like some sort of an iPhone or maybe a regular iPod. I'm not exactly sure, but he does tell them that this is the future and it's gonna change the world. We get a shot again. I'm not sure exactly when this was, but I believe this might have been later that night. But we see President Eisenhower, and he's reading the newspaper in the White House, and he's starting to hear some sounds coming from the vents. So he goes exploring. It takes him to the basement, and he winds up in an alien laboratory, an alien experiment laboratory. They're conducting experimental procedures on the humans that Ike agreed in the treaty that they would abduct. And so we get a shot. I'm so sorry. Let me go back. This was about in this article we see, and it's an abduction that a girl went missing, and it turns out that when President Eisenhower went below the White House and stumbled upon this experiment lab, he met with Valiant Thor, which I'm just going to refer to as Thor at this point, or Val. This is the girl who went missing in the article, so he's pretty much disgusted by this whole thing. He can't believe this is happening underneath the White House. We get another shot at him, and he is Val takes him to the back where they're keeping the hybrids of aliens. And again, the president is just basically disgusted by all of this. We then see a conversation with him and Mei where he's just telling her, he's venting to her about this whole alien situation going on, and how could she not be bothered that this is happening right below them. And we see Mei tell him, well, if he doesn't like it, then move it somewhere else. And she recommends the open space in Nevada. So we see in this scene, President Eisenhower is giving the aliens 83 acres in the desert of Nevada to conduct their experiments, which is referred to as Area 51. So essentially, in this scene, we see President Eisenhower, and this is the creation of Area 51. So the next scene is President Eisenhower coming home. I'm not exactly sure again how the time is working on this, but I do know it's after the treaty was signed and Area 51 was given to them. Mei Mei is having relations with Val. She says it's not cheating because he's just a synthetic android, basically, and that she also had relations with her. It was like a physical therapist or like a massage therapist, something like that. But this isn't the first time this obviously has happened. President Eisenhower basically faints. He comes back and tells her he cannot look at her. We then the next again I believe this is where the 3 year into the future jump occurs, but so I believe Marilyn Monroe we seen in the last episode with her and JFK where they were talking about aliens and she was explaining her experience with the teddy bear. Excuse me, sorry. She was explaining her experience with the teddy bear, and we seen that she was a firm believer and JFK was basically telling her what was going on behind the scenes with the military, the crash site, the treaty that President Eisenhower previously had signed. So we see all of that happening in a movie that Marilyn Monroe, she is producing and starring in this movie, exposing all of that, and Nixon and Eisenhower are watching this in a private theater, and we basically because she exposes the treaty, she exposes the crash site, she exposes everything that JFK referenced to her. So after that, we see Nixon basically tell Eisenhower like she needs to go, and with that, we seen Eisenhower say, "I'm not going to condone any murder." Nixon basically says, "I'm not asking for your approval." And so we see them going back and forth, and Eisenhower says nothing should happen to her. But then we do get this scene right here that we got in the promo, and it's this hand grabbing Marilyn Monroe. She was prior to this trying to call JFK at the White House. I'm like guessing, I assume, and she could not get a hold of him. His secretary said that he was not available, so she hangs up the phone and goes and looks out the window. And like I said, we know that Nixon does have a grudge against her, but we see this strange, very misshapen hand, and that's where we get the first quick shot of this alien, but this is only a very quick glimpse shot because we then get another shot of Marilyn Monroe being taken down by some gentlemen in black suits. I'm not sure if these are the same people that abducted the others, as far the same organization, because we did just see the alien, so I wasn't sure if the alien and the men in black, if you want to call them that, the government, I'm not sure if they were working together to take out Marilyn Monroe or if she was maybe hallucinating. I'm not exactly sure how that whole thing happened, but yeah, we do see them take Marilyn Monroe down. These gentlemen in black, they have black gloves on, and after they pin her down, we see them reach for some pharmacy prescriptions, and we see them basically empty the entire content of the bottle. And then we get another scene. Marilyn Monroe is just muffling at this point. We get another scene of, I'm assuming the next day, that Marilyn Monroe is found dead. And then we get a scene of JFK seeing the newspaper. He's in office, and Richard Nixon contacts him and tells him basically he should watch his pillow talking. There are a lot of dangerous people out there, and you can't anticipate what they're gonna do. So Nixon was basically telling JFK to watch his back because people were out there and they were crazy people, basically just trying to intimidate him, possibly threaten him. We then get a shot of it was somewhere in the future. This is Vice President Landon, so you know that this was prior to JFK's assassination, and he is meeting Valiant Thor for the first time alongside Nixon and Eisenhower, and so they are. I was assuming this was Area 51, the facility. I only because of what happens in the next scenes, but I'm to assume this is Area 51 or some kind of like military facility hidden. And we get in the next scene where Val takes the three gentlemen to the back to show them exactly what they've been up to at this facility, which is again why I think this was Area 51 where they took them to, I'm assuming. But we see what these aliens have been up to this whole time with the abductions, and we see what they've been up to as far as what like why they've been getting people pregnant, and we see these hybrids being stored. We find out there are two different kinds of hybrids. They don't really explain exactly what that means, but we see these hybrid, half human, half alien beings suspended in animation in these tubes, and there's like just a multiple of them. They're inside some sort of a warehouse, so there's dozens of them. They didn't there's like a shot. They didn't give an exact number, but I'm not sure if they're trying to start an army, or exactly what direction they're going with this, especially they only have one episode left. But we get this final shot right here of Eisenhower seeing exactly what signing that treaty meant and what it did. Prior to this, Eisenhower and Val did have a conversation where he had told him he was thinking about canceling the deal, and Val was like, "Well, no, you don't want to do that." And then Eisenhower's like, "Well, I know because you'll take the technology to the Russians." And basically, Val says that they have no interest in the Soviet Union technology, that it's far behind American technology, and that if Eisenhower did not give them what they want, that they would take it by force. So it was in his best interest to continue with the treaty. We then fast forward back to the present day where we left off in the last episode with Troy and Labor. We see Theta. She is overseeing this procedure. She essentially tells him this isn't going to hurt, that it'll be, like I said, painless. He's not going to die, and basically, he's going to be very respected in the alien community because this is a great deal to them. And instead of coming out of the mouth, everyone's making predictions that the hybrid was going to come out of the mouth, but they actually make a laser incision in Troy's stomach, and they end up pulling out the hybrid baby successfully. And then we get a scene of the hybrid baby, and they say it's healthy, it has a good heartbeat, and overall, its like physical health is stable. However, it was it had some deformities to it, so they wound up killing the baby. And then we get a cut scene that I know said 1 week later, and Troy comes back to the rest of the group not pregnant. He's explaining the whole thing. They're comforting him, and they are just having thoughts, and they're talking about escaping. They're trying to possibly plan something out, and then Calico comes over to their table and explains to them that they basically are never going to escape. Like that, her first time here was in 1969, and she had been there ever since. She said she has seen Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong. That I'll get into that in a moment. But basically, she had just said that they were never going to get out. She had been here since 1969, and she had been producing or having like 2 to 3 hybrid babies a year. So a lot of these hybrid babies, if they're not coming out perfect, they're just getting slaughtered. That's what I assumed, because they slit the hybrid baby's neck and dumped it in some kind of a liquid container. And in the next scene, because after Calico explains to them they're never going to escape, they're basically going insane. And she says, "Let me take you to my quiet place." It was a place, she said, that helps her cope with this whole thing. And we see her explain that this was the site of the moon landing. That back in 1969, when the moon landing was supposedly happening, Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong flew into her bar. They got drunk and had a long conversation. And shortly after, that's when the Men in Black came and kidnapped her and took her to this facility, and she has been reproducing hybrid babies ever since. But she said you get used to it after a while, basically. And so they're just taking all of this in, and we do get a shot of the first time that she was supposedly pregnant with the hybrid baby. And then we get another shot of Cal telling Troy that he feels like the baby is coming and it's almost ready, but he doesn't want the extraterrestrials to take the baby because if it's wrong, they're gonna kill it. Either way, they're not gonna get to raise the baby together because they are in a relationship. And throughout the episode, they kind of speak about starting a family. They get very emotional about it. Troy was very emotional about his hybrid baby when they killed it. had some sort of a telepathic connection with it. They were even Theta was speaking to Troy in his mind, so they were all linked. So he was very emotionally attached to the baby. But we see them speak about a family. So we see Troy, and he convinces Cal to let him cut his stomach open and essentially deliver a C-section on his own. I'm Cal. I'm not sure what he exactly was thinking about this, but this whole situation just is insane in itself. So he's going along with this whole thing. We see them go back to the fake moon landing site. Hence, I believe this is why it was titled Blue Moon. But we see Troy and Cal, and Troy is preparing to do a C-section, as I previously said, on Cal because they want to keep the baby. And we see him making the incision, which again, this part was insane to me. Like this was one of the first episodes, probably the first episode in Death Valley, where I actually thought that, man, like I'm actually like kind of glued. Like I want to know what happens next because this was insane. This was insane. This part about him wanting to keep the baby and them doing the process of labor and giving birth in secrecy. I was wondering like even if you do once you get the baby out, like, what are you guys gonna do? Like you guys are in a facility. Calico said she's been here since 1969. Like she's never gotten out. And also, I just wanted to point out, I thought that the timing again on all this is strange because we see Marilyn Monroe. I believe they said on the show she was killed by the government in 1963, but in real life it was 1962. We see Amelia Earhart, and she had not aged, and I forgot exactly how long she had been missing, but it was years and years later. Like I believe it was over 30 years. You can correct me in the comment section if I'm wrong. And I also, we seen in the last episode Steve Jobs at this facility also, and we know that he passed away, but this is 2021, so there's definitely something strange going on with the time in this whole Death Valley part of this double feature. But anyway, I'm sorry to get sidetracked. We see Troy making the incision in Cal's stomach, getting ready to deliver the baby, and we see successfully that I'm not sure how they did that with no equipment, no, it was just a very you can tell this is a fiction TV show. I'll say that. But anyway, we see that um, Troy successfully did deliver the baby. It's a hybrid. We see it has the black eyes like the baby that Troy delivered or previously. I'm sorry, I said Troy delivered the baby. Cal delivered the baby with Troy's assistance, and we see Cal's baby similar to Troy's baby. I was trying to say. His eyes, they're all the blacked out eyes, but and also there was a scene where they cut the babies out of the cocoon, so it's this is not like a normal procedure for in human birth. But we also get a scene then where the baby has tentacles at the bottom for legs, I believe, or there's some sort of like octopus like attachment to him. And I was wondering if these were the same octopus tentacles from Asylum, and I also was wondering if these are the same octopus tentacles from the Take Me to Your Leader episode when the gang was driving back from the desert and their car powers down and they start to get choked out by these octopus like tentacles. So I'm wondering if this was what a successful hybrid was supposed to be, or if this is one that they would kill. Like I said, a lot of questions when I seen this offspring. And finally, we get a look at exactly what is inside of the tentacles. It's like a mouth like vortex. And we see this jump on Cal's face similar to the doctors in the original operation scene from the first Alien in the crash site. And so I was just curious if that had something similar to this because we've seen it jump from one doctor's face to another, and as soon as the this squid-like creature would come off of the doctor's face, their heads would explode. So I'm not exactly sure what's up with this, but I was not sure if there was maybe even a connection. But hopefully we'll find out because the finale is the next episode, And I know this was a short time frame to try to wrap all of this up, but I feel like overall they're doing a decent job. And in the final scene again, we see this on Cal's face, the hybrid baby that he just pushed out, or the 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 hybrid baby that with Troy's assistance he delivered through a C-section. We see the tentacles wrapping around his face, as I said, similar to the doctors who were working on the first alien corpse. They were doing an autopsy. They took his chest off back in Take Me to Your Leader, and when they opened his insides, it was empty, it was hollow, there was nothing inside, and then a sort of goo jumped out at him. So this seems to be something a bit different. This again reminds me of the tentacles that were choking them out when the group was on the way back from the desert after they had seen the mutilated cows. So I'm not exactly sure on what this baby is, if this is a successful hybrid or if this is something that they would kill off the top. I don't agree, and I think it was incredibly not smart for Troy and Cal to try to go and give birth without some sort of supervision. Like I said, Troy felt no pain. Theta was overseeing the whole operation. So like I said, there was just more of like a safety procedure with Troy's birth, but this whole thing with Cal was a bad idea from the start. But again, this is the second to last episode in this double feature installment. So I mean, I'm just hoping that the next episode wraps it up and does a good job at that. I did not enjoy the Red Tide finale, so I'm just really hoping that this will be better. Overall, I felt like that Death Valley is a lot better in Red Tide, especially because we have less time. The writing has gotten a little dry, especially in the black and white scenes. It started off very strong, but it's gotten a little bit weaker, a little bit harder to pay attention to. But again, I'm hoping to see in the finale. I'm hoping it's strong. I'm hoping that they maybe connect some loose ends. I'm hoping that we get some more backstory. I'm also hoping we see the chemist and maybe some kind of connection to Red Tide. As you know, we seen in the final episode of Red Tide, we seen the chemist and Eli, and I'm just hoping there's some kind of connection there. But I'll possibly be talking about connection theory. I'll probably make a video on that either tomorrow or later tonight. But if you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe. Let me know what you want me to talk about next. My name is Everything Explained, and I will catch you in the next one.